We've come to the end. This is the final video of my question and answer session. This is my final video of 2015 and one of my final videos before I take my upcoming break just so that I can move. And I will tell you this, my move is coming up real soon. That shit is not too far away, so I only have a few videos left up in this motherfucker. Now, before I get into the final two questions that took me the most time to answer, I do have a little bit of shameless soliciting. Did anyone get Destiny for Christmas? Because if you did, then I can hook you up with my refer a friend code that I have, and once you start playing the game, I can carry you around the motherfucker so that I can get some free rewards. So if you manage to get this shit brand new, just let me know in the comment section and then I can add you to my list. We can hook up in the game and I can help you do all this shit in order to get some free swag up in this motherfucker. And yes, we're only using each other just to get some free shit. So now that I got that out of the way, time to just dive right in. Next question from Shut It Down 12. Since you said nobody has asked yet, what do you think about Star Citizen getting $100 million from fans? Star Citizen, where money goes to die. Now, let me just say this. That entire project is destined to fail no matter if the game is real or not, no matter how much people will say it's a scam or not. I can all but guarantee this game is going to fail. And the creator is going to be the one to blame for this bullshit, plain and simple. This guy, no matter how much people like him or hate him or trust his work, is just a piece of human garbage. First off, is Star Citizen a scam? No. I know there is some asshole out there who's been fighting against this game. He happens to be another developer from another studio that puts out miserable games, whatever the hell it is. Basically, he's trying to stir the pot with bullshit because he wants to see the game fail. Because he himself is a fucking failure. Now, I forgot the name of that goddamn scumbag, but listening to his conspiracy theories, his all-out vendetta against the game, against the company, is like trying to melt your brain by pouring lie into your ears. Don't pay attention to that motherfucker. His bullshit is 100% unsubstantiated without zero pieces of proof, zero evidence, and a bunch of anonymous sources that he likely made up in order to make himself look like a credible source. He is just as big a piece of garbage as Chris Roberts, so I don't listen to that motherfucker as far as I can throw him. He is an absolute piece of shit. Now, as for the game itself, this game alone is going to essentially change crowdsourcing one way or another, and most likely in a bad way. This game has raised, to date, $100 million. $100 million has been given to this company in order to create a space adventure game just for PC. On just sales alone, I'm not talking about subscription models, I'm not talking about free-to-play based on microtransactions and add-on content. I'm talking on strictly sales figures alone from the point of retail. Only 5 games on PC have ever reached 100 million in retail sales alone. And obviously that includes Steam. But yes, you can count all of those games that reach 100 million in sales on just one hand. And again, this doesn't include DLC, this doesn't include extra content, this doesn't include subscription models, this doesn't include add-on or expansion packs. 5 total games. World of Warcraft, Diablo 3, StarCraft 2, although StarCraft 1 is estimated to be at 100 million by now, but there's no figures to really confirm that, and Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2. That's it. Those are the only games to ever reach $100 million in retail sales. This game has already crowdsourced more money than almost every other PC game has made. How the fuck is that not set up for failure? Majority of successful PC games are based on aftermarket sales, ongoing support, subscription services, where you keep paying perpetually for years while the game keeps making money. And these motherfuckers made 100 million without the game even being released. Now obviously, games take time to develop. It takes a lot of time to develop these games. It takes a shitload of trial and error to create the end product that is acceptable to the studio. But for $100 million, completely crowdfunded, in order for this motherfucker to deliver a product of his vision without restrictions, ultimately, Chris Roberts has put his reputation on the line to make this game. And no matter how he looks, it's going to fail. Now let's start with the funding process. On top of the donations to initially kickstart the game like other developers have done, Cloud Imperium Games has already rolled out transactions. I'm not even calling these shits microtransactions because these are just outright rip-off transactions. $2,500 for a ship in a game that doesn't exist. $2,500 fucking dollars. People are dropping money on a product, yet what do you have to show for it? Nothing. What the fuck do you get for dropping $2,500 on a game? And people bought this shit in droves. Are you kidding me? They bought like 100 of these shits or 200 of these shits, whatever the fuck it is. Now, I know people will point to EVE as a similar game, where people spend tens of thousands of dollars in this game for bullshit. And seriously, it makes you wonder, what the fuck do they do all day long to afford that kind of money? But that game actually exists. It's a real-life working product. This one isn't. You have just given this scumbag $2,500 and 200 or whatever the hell these ships were purchased. That's like $500,000 on items that do not exist. On top of that crazy shit, just look at what this man has done with the money. Once he reached his initial goal, once he went into all the Kickstarters and the crowdfunders to do his stretch goals, he said, give me an extra amount of money and I'll put extra paint colors in my fucking ships. Oh goody, fuck you, man. This game that he initially envisioned was a lot smaller than what it initially was. It was a space adventure game that was going to expand over the years. The same way Destiny lied to us about their game. Oh, Destiny's an ongoing 10-year product. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. But once this greedy fucker got more money, he decided that instead of expanding upon the game in the future, let's do it now. Let's take our initial product, expand it exponentially instead of incrementally, which is a lot smaller. And because of that, we'll need to delay release. We'll delay. And when we roll something out, which was the shooter alpha to the product or whatever it was pretty terrible. It was so fucking bad that they needed to be pulled back. Then they had another piece that was supposed to be released, and then they decided not to release that shit. This is a chronic case of what looks like a Ponzi scheme. Now, I'm not saying it is a Ponzi scheme, but holy shit, does this crap smell like a goddamn Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme basically tells you one thing, does a bait and switch on deliverables to get your money, and then preys on other people to give the swindler more money so that he can return yours. It keeps taking money from someone else and turning it over to the next person while you keep skimming off the top and keeping some of the shit from yourself. So essentially it's like saying, look, give me $100, I'll invest it, and you'll make $120. Cool, here's $100. Then you go to the next person. If you give me $150, I'll be able to return $175 to you. Cool, here's $150. You pay back the other person the $120, you keep some money from yourself, and then you go ask the next person, hey, if you give me $200, that's essentially what a Ponzi scheme is, and that's essentially what this shit fucking sounds like. Meanwhile, the game has been delayed numerous times. Parts of the game has been delayed. Parts of it has been rethought out, and most likely parts are going to be outright canceled. Deadlines have been missed, and this asshole wants to add more to the game, add more money to the game, instead of just finishing what's already out there. I know fans will point to the fact that games take years to develop. Absolutely, there's no question about that. Quality games like Uncharted, The Last of Us, The Witcher, they went through company-mandated delays in order to make them better. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Star Citizen, though it isn't delaying because the game isn't finished and needs polished, it delays the game so it can add more to a product that has never been released in the first place. Its goals have already been met by the fans, but the company has yet to live up to their end of the bargain. And here's the part that nobody has asked. What happens if people don't buy this game? What happens if people don't play this game? What happens if you're one of those heavy donators, you get the game on the promise of retail sales making the game whole again with more purchasers and more people that will play it? What happens if people avoid this game? What the fuck are you going to do with your $2,500 Death Star, motherfucker? Because keep in mind, this is not a franchise. This is not an established series. Shit, the game hasn't even been released, and the dependency on non-donating buyers is ultimately what will make this game successful or a complete bomb. And PC players are known for paying for subscriptions over outright selling price and are expected to continuously fund this game. This game has financial failure written all over it, all because the creator got greedy, he got too ambitious, and he created a digital and moral Ponzi scheme in order to fund this game. Now, I know that at any point, a disgruntled owner can ask for their money back. They can just say, look, I don't trust you guys, give me my money back, keep your fucking game. And the company has been refunding people. But imagine if every player decided to do that. Imagine if every player decided it was more important to keep their money as opposed to giving these guys any more cash. How do you refund $100 million if you spend every dime on this undelayed development? You know, I get the logic behind crowdfunding. Either a publisher won't give you the money, or you don't want their money and you want full responsibility for the project on your own, you know, but these are the pitfalls that you end up running into. As much as people hate EA and Activision for the shit they do, for the bullshit they add to the games, how they price gouge you, for the shit that they make the studios do in the game that they don't want to do, they do so after the product has already released. They do so after a game is already sold. Chris Roberts is doing that before the game is even completed. EA and Activision put the money up front for development and they say, well, hope we'll make it back later. With crowdfunding, you, the player, put up the money before the game is ever released, yet you have no say in the final outcome of the game. Hey, I donated $1,000 to the game. Can I name the main character? No, motherfucker, you can't. Sit the fuck down in that corner, shut the fuck up, and don't talk till I allow you to do so. At least with EA and Activision, they put the money up front. front. They say, okay, here's your $100 million for development, but we want to say in the product. We want to tell you this is what we want the final product to look like. Fine, you're the money fronter. You put the money up. I understand when EA and Activision does that. I don't agree with them because their fucking ideas suck. But now the players have been the fronting part of the money. Now the players put up the $100 million for this asshole Chris Roberts to make the game. Do they have a say in the final game? No. Do they have to say what EA and Activision get to say? Absolutely not. Chris Roberts has basically taken all of your money, and he's become the judge, jury, and executioner of this game, and you have absolutely no input. So if you ended up paying $2,500 for your fucking Galactic Star Cruiser, whatever the fuck that shit is, if you donated $5, $10, $20, $50, $100, doesn't matter what the fuck it is you've given, you have no say in this game. You've seen this game delayed, you've seen parts canceled, you've seen deadlines missed, and do you feel like you're in charge of this product? Absolutely not. Everything wrong with the concept of crowdfunding, everything that could go wrong with crowdfunding is heading towards a clash in this game. You can just see it happening. From disgruntled players, to a half-assed product, to incomplete products because the owner pissed away all the money, to the delays over the full release of the game, and ultimately, how successful will this game be? $100 million was given to a pipe dream, and it's going to fail spectacularly one way or another, and I can't wait to see it happen, because as soon as it does fucking happen, I'm gonna rant my fucking ass off again once I see that shit. We've come to the very final question, and I wanted to save a nice one for last, because a lot of the questions that I usually save for the end are some of the more controversial topics and shit like that, but I want to go out with a bang, and I'm going to be using the question from Mr. Final Prestige. He's been around my channel for a very long time. I know the name, I've seen him plenty of times, I've seen him probably in the question and answer session, but he has one question that I thought would be a great way to end the question and answer series for now. You're given your wish, and you now have the ability to fully create and design the next Call of Duty game. You make all the final decisions of what to add to the game, including the campaign, co-op, multiplayer. What would you do in the game? Things like the time frame of the game, maybe the concept of the story, what co-op portions, what would you do for multiplayer? Oh man, full reigns and everything. So let me start with the campaign first. The plot and the setting would be grounded in current military conflicts, and I wouldn't be shy away from using real countries this time around either. Oh, fuck that shit. I would go right into the exact conflict we have right now, and I would use Syria and their civil war as the backdrop for events. You would play as a U.S. Special Forces soldier and tasked with some of the more Black Ops missions of the game. Within the story, there's going to be Russian intervention, of course, as well as terrorists that you're going to have to combat. During the course of the war and the fighting with Syria and the brinksmanship with Russia, they will bring a nuclear weapon to Syria as a threat towards all soldiers and stupidly lose it to the terrorists that we're trying to combat, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, whatever you want to call them. And the remaining part of the game is you trying to stop the terrorists from using that exact nuclear weapon. And the funniest shit is, this exact storyline is almost identical to Call of Duty 4. Now think about this for a minute. Call of Duty 4 had a war-torn Middle Eastern country. They didn't name it, but we saw that it was a Middle Eastern country, which was backed by a Russian warlord and ended with nukes being transferred and fired at the United States. It's almost like they knew what the fuck was gonna happen 10 years in the future. And you can pretty much take that story and apply it to today's world. So I think it's perfect. Not only is it grounded in what's happening right now, but it's also a callback and paying homage to one of the better Call of Duty games that was ever created, Call of Duty 4. But of course, I would go one step further because I'm a fucking genius. I would like to introduce something called Commander-in-Chief mode, which is going to add a layer of real-time strategy to the game, which will also alter the gameplay across the entire board. A key component of my game will put you as the President of the United States, determining the overall war strategy to take on into the fight. The decisions you make are going to drastically change the gameplay of the game. And let me walk you through a few examples so you understand what I'm trying to get at here. We know there's a civil war going on, and the United States and NATO countries have not sent in any ground troops as of yet. In the game, you would have the option to send in ground troops into war. You could also choose to only send in fighter jets and bomb key locations, or hang back, absolutely sending in no support, pretty much turning your back on the entire situation and just sending in Black Ops forces to do the dirty work for you. Each decision has consequences. Each choice you make will affect what happens in your game. If you decide you're going to send ground troops, then you're going to notice a huge military presence during each one of your missions, and you're going to notice there are a lot fewer enemies because obviously the ground troops are killing them, the ground troops are the ones that are taking the deaths, the ground troops are doing all the work, but you're going to notice on your missions a lot more suicide bombers. If you choose the airstrike option, where there are no ground troops and all you're doing is bombing key locations, you're going to notice there are going to be a lot more enemies on the ground during your missions when you're actually having to go through it, and less support from the military because essentially you're on your own. And if you choose to completely ignore the war, you'll notice the most amount of enemies, and the allies that you have in the field are going to be a whole lot more hostile and less helpful to you. That's a basic concept, obviously, but you can drill that down even more and get into more detail once you make the game. The President of the United States ratings will depend on how many troops you begin to lose in the war. Naturally, ground forces are going to lose more men, and your ratings are going to drop for that. But the main character in the game will have a much easier time doing the missions as long as those troops are killing the other enemies. You'll notice the rebels, the Syrian rebels, are going to be more willing to help you, but Russian soldiers will be completely hostile towards you, basically daring you to attack them. If you do attack the Russian soldiers, this could lead to a different branching pass where Russia declares war on you, but I'm not going to talk about branching pass and shit like that. Just gives you an idea of what this campaign could turn into. If you were to take a more passive approach to your strategy, you'll notice that your ratings will remain higher because less troops are dying, but your allies in the region will not be as happy with you because you're keeping your distance from the fighting. Russian troops certainly won't be as hostile, because now they don't have the clashing ground forces that they have to fight against, and each mission of the game would start with whatever strategy you decide to utilize. You can decide to use one strategy for one mission, another strategy for another mission. Will you put troops in a certain city, or will it be an entire Black Ops covert mission instead of a shoot 'em up mission? Will you provide air support in the region? Essentially, I want countless ways in which each mission could play out, and that all depends on the Commander-in-Chief mode introduced to the game for the very first time. Your direct executive decisions on war will impact your actual gameplay. It's fucking fantastic, right? It's essentially real-time strategy in a shooter game that directly affects what you're going to end up doing in the campaign. Now, of course, I would like to add campaign co-op with up to 4 players, as well as split-screen couch co-op for some friends and shit like that, so everyone can enjoy the fun of this motherfucker. In addition to those modes, I would do a full version of co-op. Now, Call of Duty has already done the aliens, they've already done zombies, of course, from Treyarch and Sledgehammer's game, but I would go in a different direction. Instead of a wave survival, you know, like Infinity War would just throw endless enemies at you and shit like that, or like imaginary zombies and shit, I would roll out a mode called Survival. It would be a cross between the Spec Ops missions that we used to have before and a wave of survival enemies that we also had in prior games. I would have 10 scenarios in which a team of 4 players would need to work as a team in order to survive. Each mission would be different and unique. So it's not like you're doing the same 10 exact missions over and over and over again, repeating themselves. It'll be a different mission each time. To give you an idea, let me talk about one of the missions. One mission would involve a rescue. You will have 10 minutes to save and extract one of your teammates who was captured and being tortured. The player who was being tortured would have to survive a series of quick time events in order not to fail the mission. The other 3 members would need to sneak their way over to the 4th player, and once he's free, they would fight their way out. Now, depending on how well the torture player did during the quick time events, that will determine how much health he has in order to escape and how well he'll be able to fight once he actually gets out of there. Do all this within 10 minutes, and you'll survive and pass. Another mission would place you on a submarine. Russia has launched a nuclear sub into the Mediterranean Sea, and you need to disable it. You'll have 10 minutes to disable the nukes manually and disable the ship itself. So that means a team of 4 players would have to split up in order to accomplish that and escape the sub before it gets destroyed. You can send 2 people to the nuke, 2 people to the bridge in order to disable the submarine. You can send 1 person to the nuke, 3 people to the ship. However you want to do it, the choice is up to the 4 players that are in the room, but essentially you have the 2 missions and you need to escape the submarine in order to survive. Another mission would see the 4 of you trailing a known terrorist to his camp, only to realize you get ambushed midway there. The 4 of you can't take on an army of 50 terrorists alone, so you need to hold down a position before they fully advance on you, and a helicopter can bail you out. But the helicopter is destroyed, and you'll need to take a vehicle out of the area, driving and avoiding IEDs the whole way out just to get to safety. And a final idea that I could throw out there is trying to take out an oil field within airstrikes. 4 fighter runners will be bombing a route only for all 4 of your planes to be taken down by Russian missiles where you need to eject. The 4 of you will then be scattered across a large location. I'm talking Fallout type world. But you still need to get to the oil field to take that sumbitch out, because that was your primary mission. So each one of you will have to make your way back to the target from all 4 different locations. You can get there by stealth, or you can fight your entire way up there. But keep in mind that all 4 of you need to get there, and you're all alone in doing so. Once you make it there, now you need to evacuate the facility, stealing motorcycles, and riding your way out to safety against trucks and shit that are shooting at you. Ideally, the co-op portions would all be things like we saw in Spec Ops, but this time with actual teamwork involved and all on timed missions. I would also have the option for matchmaking, so if those of you don't have 3 friends, you can still play these portions of the game. And I know people are going to say, oh, you can't trust randoms. Oh, randoms in this game will screw it up for you. I know, but that's any game on the market with matchmaking. And the fact is, you're probably going to find more capable players than incompetent or trolling players when it comes to matchmaking. Now, as far as multiplayer, oh man, I can sit here and talk for hours about this shit. You guys know that. I've done plenty of fucking videos about that, but the reality is, when I did my 25-part blueprint series on what I would do to correct the game, that pretty much still stands to date. Multiplayer would be grounded in current technology, current military ideas, and would go back to the basics. Gunfights instead of wall running and x-ray vision and all that shit. Normal speed instead of jetpack strapped to your ass. Basic kill streaks to keep the fighting on the ground where it should be. Simplicity always works compared to overly complex ideas. Simplicity is always a better option than just throwing as much shit as possible into the game, which is why I would stick with my blueprint series from all those years ago on how to make a damn game. Well, I'm not going to run through all fucking 25 videos. I can probably just link you guys to that shit. You can watch all 25 videos and that'll give you an idea of how they can fix multiplayer. Take every one of my steps that I laid out, create the multiplayer, and that's what I would do in order to create my full customized Call of Duty game. And that will do it for the final question and answer session of 2015. So I just want to thank everyone that took the time out to send in a question. Hopefully you got the answers you were looking for. Hopefully you were entertained by all the shit that I posted up this week, because obviously I posted up fucking hours of goddamn content. Oh man, this was a long ass question and answer session, but hopefully everyone enjoyed it. As I mentioned, my time on YouTube is coming to a close temporarily. My break is going to be coming up as the move is going to be coming up shortly. I have a whole bunch of hipfire commentary videos that are going to be coming out over the next couple weeks. So for those of you guys who already submitted things, you'll get to enjoy that. As always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit, and I'll see you guys in the next video.